to the weekly roundup on SA Footballer TV. It's Tommy Javor with Darcy Evans. How are you, Darcy?
TJ, very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good, we got that right.
We did.
Yes, we had a serious outtake on the last one. A bit of little malfunction at the junction. We're doing round 9, previewing round 10. Of course, this is Division 2 style at the moment. And it was a very interesting Division 2, wasn't it, mate? Where
it was.
There wasn't anything usually unpredictable that happened, but there were some interesting games, and I think Portland were probably the surprise packet. We'll get to them in a little bit. We're starting, though, with the Battle of the Rich Boys.
We've got St. Peter's versus Scotch. So, even though St. Peter's did 20 goals, 10 to 130 to Scotch, 9-11, 65.
Double their score. Yep.
Double their score. I think, with Ian Steele, the coach of Scotch, been very disappointed with that because obviously they're fourth and fifth. And that's a massive, by that margin, I think they'll be very disappointed that Scotch probably looks like they come off the boil without the Cowboys there. A few other players that have left the club as well. So
it's interesting, isn't it,
holding on to 5th spot.
We do the ladder after we've done the review, but it's almost a case of, well, who wants 4th and 5th spot? You look at 4th through to 9th, separated by 2 games. It's one game. Portland in 9th, they're a game outside the 5, and it's a case of Scotch, Spock, Gazer, Foss, Broadview, Portland. Someone needs to string 3 or 4 together and they're going to play finals. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. When you lose by that much to St. Peter's who are 4th and 5th, I think, gee whiz, there's a bit of trouble in the air for Scotch. But anyway, we got to the goal scorers. Frank with 5, Goldsworthy with 3, Trenord with 3, Hartman with 2, then singles to 6 other players there. Best players was Butler, Roberts, Franklin, Calabrese, Copping and McLean.
Not much to talk about on the Scotch side. Underwood and Bilby both kicked 3, Thorpe kicked 2, whilst better players were Middleton, Skeen and Lagonic. He's their captain, isn't he? No, he's the producer. Don't worry about it. And you know what? I'm going to throw the next one in. Wong. He's Tommy Lipson's favourite Scotch player. And there's nothing wrong with that.
The no's have gone away for that one. Words right out of my mouth, TJ. Yeah. Yes.
Our next one was a very inaccurate Old Ignatians, but it didn't matter. They were too good for Broadview at Hunter Park. 13-21-99. Broadview 10-6-66. So I play at Hunter Park every Wednesday night, and AFL 9 is the game for everyone. AFL9s.com.au. I'll still get a little cut in that. And it's in magnificent condition, obviously looked after very closely, but it's a great ground to play on. Now this one was interesting because the scores were level at half time, only 9 points difference at 3/4 time, but in the last quarter, Old Ignatians obviously took control, kicking 5 goals 8 to Broadview's 2 goals 2. For Old Ignatians, they had one standout. It was Ortlap. He kicked 7. Not a familiar name to us. Then 6 singles, but he was their best player with Boyd, Collins, Abbott and McNeil. For Broadview,
we've got Bamford with 3, Kemp with 3, then singles to 5 other players. Best players, White, Bamford, Smithson,
Braden the Prince coming up for state duties.
With that, and Bamford, of course, with those goals that he kicked. So, look, I think, we would have been very happy up to a 3/4 time. We thought, we might have a chance here, beating a top 5 team, but it wasn't to be in that last quarter. They just dropped away.
Yes, and no good there for Broadview again. Up for grabs, but didn't get the chocolates, mate. The next one doesn't make pretty reading, so we're not going to...
It doesn't. So we've got Modbury, massive win over Smosh West Lakes. No surprises, especially with the score even. We've got Smosh West Lakes, Modbury, 28 goals, 10, 178. The Smosh, 6-6-42. So a massive win there.
No way to dress it up, really. The best team played the worst team in the comp, all due respect. 38 scoring shots to 12. They've won by 136 points. I'll do the Smosh side because these guys are battling away and deserve a mention. Let's chuck my arm around it. Parham kicked 2. Lelos. That's Connie Lelos, who played in their D-grade premiership last year, probably with half this team, to be honest with you. But that's a story for another time. Parham, Moore and Hughes. Whilst better players were Brown, Payne, Beacon, Parham and Hughes.
And as expected, Modbury 11 goal scorers, so certainly did share it around a bit. So we've got Gibson 7.
That while I was talking there.
I did.
Good.
So 11 goal scorers, Verity with 5, Shaw with 5, Stanton with 3, Phillips with 2, David with 2, individuals to 5 other players there. Best players Bennett, Gibson, Fogden, Verity and Binky.
Yep. Real surprise packet for me this year, I'm moving on from that game, has been
nothing to report there.
Teams that come down from Div 1 can often plateau down 1, 2, 3. We've seen it happen many times. I felt it happen myself at Payneham. But Sacred Heart are not going to be one of those teams. What they've done is they've maintained the majority of their list and they've recruited well. And those recruits, especially Lockie Barton, have been fantastic. He again was best on ground and led Sacred Heart to a narrow 5-point win over Foss Camden. 10-6-66, and they're pretty happy with Lockie Button here at the Port Hotel. It was at Sacred Heart Middle School. Foss Camden 9-7-61. Button with 4, Fosdyke with 2, 4 singles. Lockie Button, best on ground, Domenico, Labba, Bosley and Peake. Whilst for Foss Camden,
Williams with 3, Gordon with 2, and individual to 4 other players there. Best players, Ruwalt, Cross, Reevely, Hemden and Gordon.
Hemden, yep. So yeah, good result there. Again, Lockie Button, again, in the state team, continued his good form upon return. It was interesting to hear Sean Jackson speak the other day and talk about how some of these players actually come back better players from these state games. So plenty to be gained, and we'll probably talk more about the state game in Division 1, but well done to those involved again.
And as we said, probably one of the upsets of the day, Portland taking on Gazer. So it was Portland 14-12-96, defeated Gazer 11-9-75. It was like Jars was that annoyed with the Gazer loss. There was no goal scorers, nor was there any...
Yeah, it's interesting, that one. I was there Thursday night. I was driving, I don't know, somewhere, I think after work late, and I could hear Jars on the radio. Now I don't know if it was pre-recorded or not. That tells me, I guess, he's not training on a Thursday, or he's got assistants, and I don't know if that appointment's really worked. I mean, I guess if they win the premiership, it's worked, but they were very strong in Div 2 last year, and only got knocked out in a net by. They were level with PAC at half time of the prelim, and it got done in the end. They find themselves outside the 5, not doing a lot to impress many, and they certainly haven't impressed Portland on the weekend. You gave the score, didn't you? It was a 21-point win to Portland, and they couldn't stop young Malera. I don't know if he's that young these days. He kicked 7, Waring kicked 2, Shepherd 2. Better players were Bradley, Shepherd, Malera, Moody and Hamilton. Now, our reports about Malera, we've got some interesting mail, haven't we? Total times trained this year?
Once.
Times called up out of bed to play?
Once.
Goals kicked in that game?
7.
Not a bad effort at all. Obviously some real raw talent. Gazer had no matchup for him. I was surprised I could list off 3 or 4 players I would have sent to him, but obviously it didn't work, and well done, Malera. Portland, again, we thought they were going to get relegated every year. When we do that, we say Portland get relegated, the old producer gets his mop shaking like this. No, trust me.
I'm concerned how he's sitting at the moment. He's some grapes dropped in his mouth.
Moving on. They've got five of their last 9 games at home from all reports. Now they're 1 game outside the 5, even though they're sitting in 9th or wherever they are on the ladder now. So exciting times for Portland.
Certainly is.
Could be very dangerous coming home. That's the 5 games, mate. Looking at the competition stats, no real major goal kickers to talk about. It's close. It's anyone's goal kicking competition. The winner could come from any of the following: Pryor from Portland, Bilby from Scotch, Trenorden, Button from Sacred Heart, or Ortland from Old Ignatians. I wouldn't be surprised if someone outside that list, because the leading goal kickers on 27, and there's a host of others on more than 20. The ladder, though, now that's
very interesting, TJ.
Top 3 are set. Top 3 are set. Modbury, Old Iggies, Sacred Heart. 2 of those teams will play in the grand final.
Now, as you said, St Peter's, they're on 5 wins. Portland, we just mentioned, on 3 wins. So between 4th and 9th, there's only 2 games between them. So look, anything can happen now. It's unbelievable. Smosh, look, they're done and dusted, unfortunately.
Yep.
And gee whiz.
You noticed something really interesting. If you're trying to look for positives for Smosh West Lakes, because there hasn't been a lot of positives, they do sit 10th on 1 win and 8 losses, but I've got a little scratch on my computer, and 33% actually reads as 88%.
88.
So that's the handy percentage. Just trying to keep it positive.
No, but very interesting, that ladder from 4th down to 9th. It's anyone's game.
Absolutely, mate. It's a big week in round 2, going into round 10. Pardon me, for Div 2, because they've all played each other once now. They've jockeyed for position, and now it's time to make your mark. My computer's just died, mate. So we're going to look at Broadview and Smosh. This one is at Broadview.
Same, absolutely.
Yeah, Broadview, again, they're another team. If they win this week, they could be in the final if results went their way. One of those results that would need to go their way is St Peter's and Foss Camden. It's at Camden Oval.
I'm going to go for St Peter's here. A little bit of an upset.
Not really an upset, they're sitting 4th.
No, sorry, they are too. My point. I'll go for a draw. Draw. I'll go for St Peter's.
I really believe in teams that need to win, will win. And Foss need to win. They're 3 and 6, but gee, their percentage 51.52 just shows you they've been losing games by small margins, and when they win, they put teams away. Fossies is an upset for mine.
Yep. Old Iggies in Portland, I think this is whether Portland have come good in the last few weeks, but I think Old Iggies are just on fire at the moment. So,
yeah, part of me wants to tip Portland, but I think they'll definitely have if they call up Malera out of bed again and wake up, Jeff, it's time to kick some goals.
A bit of an omen or a bit of a Saturday morning.
But Old Iggies will be too good. I mean, they're second 7 and 2. Let's go with logic. Portland are 9th, 3 and 6. Old Iggies for me.
And Gazer and Sacred Heart, I think Gazer had dropping off the radar a bit.
Same thing, Gazer have to win this.
Oh,
they have to win this at home.
But I will be going for Sacred Heart. They are third, doing very well, and recruited well, as you said before. So I think Sacred Heart, even though it's at Gazer, I think Gazer is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I know some Gazer people watch this show, and hello to all my friends at Gazer, and I'm there every spring. Yeah, I've got friends there. I like the Prez even. I get on pretty well with the Prez, and I love Holsty. Here's a tip for you. Somebody slap around Harry Mack, Shawnee McGregor a little bit, send him down to Lockie Button and say, stop Lockie Button. You stop Lockie Button, you beat him, Gazer. Gazer will win this week. Harry Mack, best on ground.
Done. Yep. Okay, and the last game is Scotch and Modbury. Scotch have fallen right off the radar, unfortunately. Not a good result from last week. Modbury are kicking butt at the moment, so Modbury by a big margin.
I love Scotch. I absolutely love Scotch. Bit of ice, tall glass. Don't care much for the footy club though.
That one.
Modbury for mine.
Yes, indeed. But Trevor Holt's talking about Gazer. He's been there a long time now.
Yeah. I ran into all the Gazer boys the other day. They went past me in the line at Adelaide Oval, and I think their kids are playing at Auskick or Little League. So I love that club. Obviously very close to my heart. Just around the corner from and shout out to one of the local community pillars, Hassan's Bantam Chickens, just around the corner from Gazer. Shut down this week after 30 or 40 years. Sad to see. Hassan, I love you, man. And for that reason, for Hassan, Gazer will get the win. That's my other, but two big upsets this round.
Okay, yeah.
Floss Cameron and Gazer. Yep. Watch this space.
Done.
If I'm wrong, I'll look stupid, but I don't care. Better to go out on a limb and have something to say than be a sheep.
That's right. We hate it when he wins too. He's right.
I don't get the text comes through at 5.
Exactly.
To catch the results. Thanks for watching the Dip 2 Weekly Roundup.
See you later.
Next week.